Welcome back to Start the Conversation, everybody. I'm your host, Dalton, and on this podcast, we explore the real, the raw, and the remarkable stories of success by people in recovery. We talk to clinicians and people who work in this field to try to get some advice from them and hear their stories as well. So, if you like this topic, this conversation, please hit that like, share, subscribe, whatever you can do to help us get this video out to more people. Today, this is going to be a video in our client journey series, and we are with my man Rich over here. And Rich he's been with us for a while, graduating, discharging tomorrow, so he's right on that doorstep. And we're just gonna hear his story today and see what hope we can draw from it. And I hope this helps somebody out there. If you're struggling with addiction, or if you know somebody struggling with addiction, look us up. Resolutionshealthcare.com is our website, and you can see our inpatient facility, Hidden Oaks. We're located in Chatfield over by Corsicana, so we're just about an hour south of Dallas on 45. You can look at us, you can see pictures. We got these podcasts, um, meet our staff. There's just all sorts of good stuff on that website and on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. All right. So with that, I'm gonna give it to my man Richard. And Richard, start by telling us a little bit about yourself.
Um, I was born and raised in a little town outside of Niagara Falls, New York. Was born in 1976. I had actually a real normal childhood, no traumas or anything like that. I was, outgoing at first, going through elementary school, the middle school, and then my first real trauma hit to me. Um, I started puberty and I started to get acne, which sort of led me into just being with people that were no good. I wanted to be liked, and I just felt like not even coming out of my house. That's how I felt when I was 13, 14, 15, 16 years old.
Because you didn't like the way you look.
Yeah, I didn't that change was so bad that when I looked in the mirror, I just didn't like what I saw. I went into, and I've realized in the later years of my life how dramatic that situation was. It changed my whole belief system. It took me from an extrovert and made me into an introvert, to where I didn't want to be around people. I didn't want to go to school. My grades started to suffer. I just really felt like a shell of who I was before puberty hit, which, was a real hard struggle for me, and which led me into the life that I believe that I have now. It was probably the major thing that turned my life from good, I guess, to the path that I led.
Wow. Okay, so but before that, good grades, good
Good grades,
childhood.
good childhood. I played all sorts of different sports. I had no problem talking to people. I had no problem being in social atmospheres at a young age. I got along with everybody. And then that really affected me throughout my life into my 20s, and made me look at things just totally different than what I looked at before. So yeah, it was a pretty dramatic experience for me, which led me into some
Okay.
of the things that I eventually got into.
Yeah. So let's talk about that a little bit. When was the first time you were introduced to drugs or alcohol?
Okay, so that's where my story might be different from other people, and I don't know if you know this, but my first, uh, I guess where I got dopamine first was through gambling. Um, I was 16 years old, went to a horse track with my buddies, ended up winning like $2,000 that night at 16 years old. I couldn't even cash the ticket, but I felt high. I felt incredible. It just, and then I just kept doing it. which in turn led me into drugs. I got with people that gambled a lot. We played cards. Then I was introduced to marijuana, which I didn't like. That was probably 17. I really didn't like marijuana, but I kept smoking it just because I was around people and I wanted to fit in.
Yeah.
Um, which in turn, I guess my real big drug was cocaine at like 18 years old. And I did that for a couple of years. And I never was really scared to tell my parents what was going on if I was hurting or if something was going on. So I sat and talked to my mom at like 19 years old and told her that I was addicted to cocaine. I was suffering. I was going down a path that I didn't want to go.
Yeah.
Um, so she moved me down with my grandfather in Florida, paid for me to go down there. I stayed with my grandfather for probably 6 months and then moved in with my cousin down near Boynton Beach and stayed there for like 2 years.
Where's
Um,
that at?
it's near Fort Lauderdale,
Okay.
about maybe 2 hours from Miami. Um, and stayed there, but cocaine followed me eventually, where, people say you can't move, to get away from drugs because drugs is anywhere you go. And eventually, about probably a year and a half into my stay in Florida, I found cocaine again
Hmm.
and was starting to use it down there. Um, So it wasn't a move that was successful in the end. It wasn't a successful move. I started back doing drugs. I still felt like I wasn't enough every day. I didn't want to look in the mirror. I didn't like who I was physically, which in turn just made me want to alter everything about me
Okay.
in drugs and alcohol and gambling.
So puberty hits,
Puberty
your
hits,
physical appearance
changes.
changes. You don't like yourself anymore. You don't like to look in the mirror. And now we're at 19, 20 years old. You've tried marijuana, cocaine, gambling, and you're still trying to cover up the fact that you don't like yourself. So you've pretty much been dealing with them same feelings for the last 6, 7 years.
Yeah.
Okay. What happened after that?
So we came home for like 2 weeks in the summer. And while I was home, this girl that I knew from before I went to Florida was living right next door. And for some reason, she called me up on her porch and we talked for a couple hours and ended up going to the movies. And I liked her, but like I told you, my belief systems changed. She was beautiful, out of my league. And in my belief system, because I felt so bad about myself that all I cared about, I didn't care about what she was inside. The beauty was all I cared about. I didn't care about whether she was a good person, bad person. So we talked and went to the movies, and I flew back on to Florida. We stayed in touch. Um, and maybe 6 months later, I came home for good because I had a job opportunity. My dad worked for General Motors. They were hiring. He referred me, so I got into General Motors when I was 23 years old. Came home and then started dating this girl, um, and fell in love. Um, but I was still gambling. I was still doing the drugs. I was hiding it from her. Um, but then after I fell in love, I sort of dropped off the drugs, the gambling for a few years.
Okay.
Was in love. My obsession turned to her.
Yeah.
Anything that I could do to make her fall in love with me the way I felt about her. Again, it wasn't about the person she was. It was just about the beauty. It, her beauty made me feel like I was more than what I thought I was. I was living vicariously through her
Right.
because I didn't feel good about myself. So if I could get this beautiful girl, then my life would be good then. I could stop worrying about how I look or whatever, all this stuff, but this is false.
Yeah.
Um, we ended up getting married, in 94. Um, and then I got a transfer to Georgia. And then we moved to Georgia a month after we got married. Um, and then my wife was diagnosed with breast cancer at the age of 32. I was 26. We had two kids. We didn't have any help. I wasn't doing drugs at this time or gambling. So it was probably through her cancer, probably about a 4 year span where I didn't do anything. I was in love. I loved my kids. I always wanted to be a father. Um, but like we say in treatment, eventually that feeling of love and stuff is going to wear off, and you're going to be back to what you see in the mirror every day that you don't like, and you're going to want to change it. And that's what happened. I was introduced to pills at that point. Um, I wasn't doing cocaine as much or weed, but I started to gamble again, and then I started to do pills. Um, Probably maybe 2000, 2001, was introduced to pills. Then we got a transfer to Ohio, and then it really took off. I met a doctor that was handing out prescription pills for, I would get 180 hydrocodone, um, and kept on going. And that was probably my worst addiction. At least I thought. It eventually didn't become my worst addiction, but for years I would drive. We would go back home. I would stop at hospitals with my kids in the car,
Yeah.
just to get a fix because I was running out of hydrocodone. It took over everything about me. I didn't have to feel the way I felt when I looked in the mirror when I took drugs. I didn't have to feel. I didn't have to feel. I didn't have to have responsibility. I didn't have to worry about the bills or anything else. I could just isolate and take drugs.
Mm.
And it continued for the pills continued until I went to my first treatment center. Then I got off the pills and started on Suboxone. I didn't do any pills anymore, but Suboxone's really not any better. It's just a way to where you can't get high off pills even if you take them. But I stopped taking pills. But the one thing that's never changed out of my story is I've always been addicted to gambling. It never, I talked about those 4 years that I didn't do anything, and that's true. But as soon as I started doing pills, I was still gambling on the side. I would go to the horse track or I'd go to the casinos, which, is the same dopamine high for me that drugs is. Um, and I loved it. I loved it just as much as drugs. And it's basically the one thing that has ruined my life financially.
Hmm.
Drugs, yeah. I mean, I could pay for drugs and not be financially broke, but gambling really took me down until um, about 6 years ago. And after the pills, I had done heroin. I have tried meth. Like when I was 41, I was introduced to meth. Um, did it for maybe a year. Really didn't like it like other people. It really didn't, I don't know, do what it does seems to do for other people, but I ended up getting off of it, and there came a point where I just didn't want to run the streets anymore. I didn't want to go looking for drugs, and I never liked alcohol. Like I never drank from the time I was 16 to about 43. I never had a problem with alcohol. I didn't really like it. And then I didn't want to keep going and buying drugs off the street anymore. I didn't want to live that life. I've been burned. You pay people money, they don't come back with the drugs or stuff like that. So I started to drink,
Hmm.
um, and eventually started to like it. And it's the one drug that's really taken me down faster than anything else. Um, I mean, it's ruined my liver at this point. I've gotten 2 DWIs in 6 years. Um, I've done things to my family that are, you know, I've had my wife arrested on false pretenses because I made stuff up because I was hallucinating.
Hmm.
Um, I'd lost my family about a year ago after a trip that we went on, a cruise that I had just been to treatment, here, got out and knew I had a cruise that I was going on and decided to pay for a liquor. They sell like,
Yeah, liquor pass.
yes, yeah. And I mean, I drank from the time I got up on the cruise till the time I went to bed. I made my kids and my wife's experience on that cruise miserable. Um, my wife was crying because of the way I was acting. My kids couldn't even stand to be around me. And then when we went home, we got off the cruise and we were driving home, and I was acting such a fool that my wife and kids made me drive them to the airport because they were going to fly home. Didn't want nothing to do with me. So I had to drive home by myself. I was already high, and I ended up getting a DWI in Florida on the way home. This was actually it was in May of this year. And when I got home, my wife left me, went to New York, and both my kids went to New York to stay with my mom. And ever since then, I've been by myself here in Texas. still struggling with addiction. I've been back here. This is my third time back. And like you said, I'm getting ready to go out um, with reservations. Being honest, this time when I came back, uh, I got to a point when I was out there that my life was so boring that I just told myself, if life's going to be this boring, why don't I just start using again? And I started drinking and started hallucinating and ended up in a hotel that I didn't even want to be at. Got kicked out of sober living because I ordered alcohol to the sober living house. I mean, it was been a mess.
Yeah.
This whole year, 2025, I've been in and out of rehab 3 times, IOPs. Um, yeah, I mean, my job is at its wit's end. I'm at my wit's end. My family is, supportive but reserved, to say the least. It's the first Christmas that I've missed out of my kid's life in 26 and 25 years because I'm an addict.
Right. That's a lot.
Yeah, it has been. It was hard to process that for me at that time. It was, everybody asked me if I was okay, and you put on a facade of, oh yeah, I'm okay, but am I really okay? Am I really okay that I can't be with my kids on Christmas because I'm an addict and I just can't get it right? Those are the things that go through my mind on a daily basis. Even being at treatment as many times as I have and learning from amazing people like you in the wilderness and Laura and Alice and Keller. Everybody you guys got here, your team's amazing. And you do treat us like we're family. It's I've been brought back. The first time I was here, I acted a fool, and nobody else would have brought me back, but you guys did and gave me another chance. And it's just that thing that goes through us mentally is, can we get this right? Can I get this right? Um, and that's where I'm at as I'm about to leave. It's still questioning, you know, can I? Not will I? Can I?
And you don't know the answer to that. You're struggling with it.
Um, I I I feel like I have all the tools that you guys give, but because I've failed so many times, it's just a question in my mind of, can I? Not will I? Can I? Can I find the things outside of addiction that we've talked about numerous times? I love sports. I love competition. I love, you know, doing all sorts of things that are active. Can I take that outside of rehab and bring it into my life on the outside to make it to where I don't feel bored with my life? I can be excited about the things that I'm doing on a daily basis and have structure and go to work and feel good about going to work and you know re re get my family back, my kids, show them that what I say I'm going to do. I lost that over, these 30 years, especially the 20 years with my kids. They just, when I tell them something, they don't, like we just had a situation where my mom's got my bank card and I gave my daughter a birthday present, said, go take it out of the bank. She took the card there and the card didn't work. So I called because I looked at my bank account, the money wasn't out. And I know that what went through her mind was, he's lying to me again.
Right.
He's telling me to go get $300 and he even got $300. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? And that's the initial thing that's going to go through her mind because of the last 20 years that she's been around me with all of the disappointments. So those are the things that I have to come to, just what I say is what I'm going to follow through and do is the most important thing to me as I leave and try to make a new life for myself.
Yeah. And that one's really not a can I question. That
No,
one's a will I
but yeah,
question.
that's a will I. Yeah,
Because you have it, it's in your power, it's in your control whether you're going to follow through with things you talk about or not.
yeah,
It's not, it's not can I find a place to follow up with sports and be active and things like that. You can, especially going back to where you're going back to. There's stuff everywhere.
Yeah.
So it's not can I, it's will you. You have to do the work. You
Yeah.
have to get out and find stuff. You can sit in that house and be bored and lonely if you want, or you can get out and go find something to do.
Yeah, that's true. Now that you said it, yeah, it's not can I? It's am I going to take the teachings and all the stuff that I've been given by you guys and take it out and will I go do what I know that I have to do
Right.
to stay clean and live a life that I've never had. So it's all going to be new. And I'm excited about what a new life could look like. I am excited about that. Um, but just being honest, there are reservations. It's just, yeah, will I? But in the back of my mind is, can I? Can I change? Is this the person I'm going to be? I try to tell myself all I wanted to give my parents was to see me sober. And, my dad ended up passing and never seeing me sober. That was hard to deal with.
So as you get ready to get out of here, what do you think what do you think is going to be the biggest factor whether you continue to stay sober or not?
We had just talked about this in a group that we were in before. I think I've always failed on expectations. I think it's easy to go out there and think you're going to have no expectations of anybody. But when you get out there and you have kids that you love and you have a mother that you love and all these things, you want them to see you in a different light, but you can't force them. It's been 30 years that they've went through this as my mom, or 20 years as my kids
Yeah.
have gone through this, and I can't think that in a month or 2 months it's going to change for them. I can't expect that, and I have in the past times that I've gotten out of rehab, expectations of things has made me question whether I want to do this,
Hmm.
whether I can go the amount of time to get what I feel like I should have, um, giving me the benefit of the doubt when I don't deserve it, um, for at least a year, 2 years, maybe 3 years. We don't know how long it's going to take our parents or kids to give us grace. We hope
Right.
that we can get grace.
But they recover at a different rate of speed than we
Yeah,
recover at.
yeah. I'm here getting help, and they're out there doing life
Right.
without me. Like my daughter's moving today down to Virginia, first time she's ever been outside the house. Can I be there? No, because I'm an addict and I got to deal with being an addict and trying to get better. So I can't be there for her. And this is a huge move in her life. And it's hard.
Yeah.
But these are the things that we give up when we choose to use drugs and alcohol. We give up very important things in our lives because of it. And I've given up an awfully lot, way too much.
And we've been through this many times before.
Yeah.
You've been through treatment. You know the recovery mumbo jumbo. So I got to take my little kid gloves off when it comes to you
Yeah.
and just ask you what's going to be different this time. What are you going to do different this time? Because the ball's in your court.
Yeah. I've made a list of things that I want to get into when I get out of here. Like the past couple times, I haven't followed up with any of my appointments, which is, I feel very important to staying on that path of recovery. It's doing what I say I'm going to do. When I talk to Alice and we make these appointments, I tell her to her face that I'm going to follow up, and I haven't done that in the past. So that's me already dropping the ball before I got out of here.
Hmm.
I knew I wasn't going to do it before I got out of here. But this time I got to follow up with my appointments. I want to find a gym to start working out. I play pickleball. Find a place where I can play team pickleball or one-on-one pickleball. Get some new golf clubs and play golf. I love to play golf. I have people at work that I work with play every Tuesday and Thursday. I'd like to play once a week to start and then gradually get in.
Hmm.
Um, I'm going out with an accountability partner this time that I didn't have in the past. Um, but there are also pitfalls that can come along with that
Yeah.
that I have to be honest with myself about, and how I'm gonna deal with anything that happens with that. So, um, I've wrote a list of things that I want to change that I didn't change the first couple times, to make me more accountable to myself. Um, and if I don't do it, I know where I'm gonna end up.
Yeah.
I, I, we both know where I'm gonna end up. It's right back here, or somewhere else, or death, or jail. Um, but I have to change the things that I've done the past couple times I've been here.
Hmm.
And following up with my appointments is the first thing to do, because that's the first thing that I'm going to have to do when I get out. Go back to work. Go to work every day. Stop taking, you know, days off. That's one of the first signs to me that I'm going to start to struggle. Once I start screwing with work, I get stressed, anxious, panicked, and then I start using.
Yeah.
And I've talked to my accountability partner about, if you start seeing me, you know, missing work, realize that it's not going to be far behind where I start using. I mean, it's definitely one of the things that's been in my life that I can follow, that has happened throughout my life, that has made me use.
Yeah. It's an apparent pattern.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, we end these things with a bit of advice. So if you could give a bit of advice to somebody out there struggling, somebody in their addiction, what would you say to that person?
Um, Somebody in their addiction, um, it took me a while to realize in my addiction that I had to come to rehab. Um, and somebody struggling out there with an addiction, any kind of addiction, there is help. Reach out to a family member. If you have a family member, don't be scared to talk to your mom, talk to your dad, um, tell them what's going on, because our family can't help if they don't know the trouble we're in.
Yeah.
I've always been able to reach out to my family. I know other people, it's hard to do that, but okay, reach out to a friend,
Hmm.
or with your phone, Google help. Um, you know, help that's near you. There's tons of places that will help, and if they can't, they'll get you help. They'll find help for you. That's how I've gone about it. I've had I'm lucky because work has something that you can go to and talk to them, and they'll send you to treatment. But yeah, the first thing is reach out to somebody that you care about, somebody that cares about you. Um, and just be honest. Honesty is to me gotta be the first thing in my recovery, and somebody struggling, they gotta get honest with themselves. It's so important before it's too late to reach out. Um, Reach out. Just find that honesty inside yourself to let you know that you're not on the right path. You're on the wrong path, and there's people that want to help you. They're out there.
Hmm.
I found a ton, and it wasn't that hard to find them if you're able to be honest with yourself. That's the advice that I have for them.
I appreciate that, and I appreciate you sharing your story today. Uh,
I appreciate you letting me.
yeah, you've been talking about, hey, let me
Yeah,
on. Uh, it was good. I know you've had your struggles in the past.
yeah,
I know this is it's not an easy hill to get over.
yeah,
It's a mountain. It's a
yeah,
big mountain, but you are able to climb it, and you are able to get over to the other side. But you know as well as I do, if you don't follow through, we'll be right back here
yeah,
worse.
yeah.
So follow through, and I think that's all we got for today. So everybody, again, leave a comment, say thanks to Richard, wish him well, pray for him, and we'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.